Arman Tsarukian was on a plane with no Wi-Fi when Justin Gaethje stopped Ilia Topuria. 8 hours in the air, no internet, no way to watch the biggest fight in UFC history, just sitting there thinking about what was happening on the south lawn of the White House while everyone else was watching live. When the plane landed and his friend's phone finally connected, Tsarukian got the news. Justin won. He said he couldn't believe it. And then he revealed something that the entire MMA community had been speculating about for days. The bet was real, the $5.7 million figure that circulated during Fight Week was accurate, and he and his friend split it after Gaethje won at massive underdog odds. The man who is next in line for the UFC lightweight title just cashed out millions on the result that put him in that position. That is the opening line of one of the most entertaining post-fight interviews the sport has produced in recent memory. Let's go through what Tsarukian actually said, because there is more information embedded in this conversation than the bet story alone suggests. He analyzed the fight in a way that revealed genuine tactical intelligence about both Gaethje and Topuria. His read on the Topuria loss was specific and damning. Topuria was so confident that he was not using his jab. He was coming in close and trying to throw the right hand and knock Gaethje out immediately. He was not fighting his fight. He was fighting the narrative he had created about himself. When Gaethje kept stopping him with a jab and absorbing the body shots without going away, the plan that Topuria had built his entire fight week psychology around started to fail. And when the plan started to fail, Tsarukian believes, the spirit went out of him. This is essentially the same reading that Gaethje himself offered post-fight, which tells you something about how visible the tactical reality was to anyone watching with genuine fight intelligence. The question of whether Topuria quit or whether his corner made the call is the most sensitive part of the post-fight conversation, and Tsarukian addressed it directly. He confirmed that it was Topuria's brother who made the decision, that Topuria himself wanted to continue fighting even with one eye closed and a broken orbital bone. Tsarukian's position is that the corner made the right call. When you have one eye, it is so difficult to fight, and Justin could have knocked him out badly in the 5th round. The brother saw that and said enough. That is not quitting in the conventional sense. That is a corner protecting their fighter from damage that the fighter himself, in the competitive heat of the moment, could not fully assess. Tsarukian's tweet using the word used by Duran in his famous retirement was a needle directed at the optics of the corner stoppage. His actual position on whether it was the right decision is more nuanced. Topuria's post-fight statement, which was read during the interview, deserves full acknowledgement because it was exactly what you want from a champion who just suffered the first loss of their career. He wrote that Gaethje took the sight from his right eye in the 1st round and his left eye by the end of the 2nd. No excuses. He said he had one of the best camps of his life. He said the previous night was Gaethje's night. He said glory and pain walk side by side. He said he will heal, rest, return stronger and wiser and more dangerous. And he promised a rematch, stating directly that the story between them is far from over. Tsarukian's reaction to reading this was genuinely positive. He said that is good, that is the right response, that it takes character to just say you lost without looking for excuses. The man who has been one of Topuria's most prominent critics gave him credit in the moment that mattered. Now let's talk about what Tsarukian actually said about his own future, because that is the most commercially relevant information in the interview. He was told by the UFC that he is next for the title fight. He was given an approximate date. He would not specify the month but confirmed it is after summer and suggested Abu Dhabi in the fall, October range, as the likely destination. His conversations with Hunter Campbell are scheduled for the following Tuesday to finalize the scheduling around his other commitments, including a RAF grappling competition on July 11th in Georgia and another on July 18th in St. Louis. The man who is about to fight for the undisputed lightweight championship is also competing in grappling events 2 and 3 weeks after the White House card, which tells you everything you need to know about how he approaches activity and preparation. He said he wants to do 6 more RAF matches this year. He is not resting. He is not transitioning into a championship mentality of conservation. He is a man who lands from a long flight and schedules a 7:30 morning training session for the next day because he cannot stop himself. His tactical breakdown of how the Gaethje fight goes when it is his turn is the most specific and revealing section of the interview. He watched Topuria on the ground and identified what he described as the worst possible ground game for a wrestler of his level. Topuria on the ground gets to mount position and cannot escape. He just turns and gives his back, which for a grappler of Tsarukian's caliber is an immediate submission setup. He called it rear naked or arm triangle. He said 2nd or 3rd round. He said he is going to take Gaethje down, choke him, and that is it. The confidence is absolute, and it is backed by genuine technical reasoning rather than promotional bluster. Gaethje's ground game has always been his most significant vulnerability. Every time he has been taken down by an elite wrestler, Khabib, Oliveira, the results have been catastrophic for him. Tsarukian is not Charles Oliveira on the ground. He is meaningfully better in certain aspects of wrestling and control. He also revealed something important about Gaethje's ground game from what he observed in the fight. When Topuria had him in mount, Gaethje did not know how to escape properly. He just turned and gave his back. For a wrestler who operates at Tsarukian's level, that is not a difficulty, that is a gift. The rear naked choke from the back is the most reliable submission in the sport, and getting to the back is what Tsarukian's wrestling system is specifically designed to accomplish. He said watching Gaethje on the ground during the Topuria fight gave him information about exactly where the vulnerabilities are. A fighter who has spent fight week studying his future opponent's weaknesses from a ringside position, metaphorically speaking, is a fighter who is already preparing. The McGregor question was handled with Tsarukian's characteristic directness. He said he does not think McGregor wins against Max Holloway. He said McGregor can win, but it is not that probable. He said even if McGregor wins, nobody in the lightweight division is putting him ahead of Tsarukian in the title queue. He was told he is next. He has been waiting for this longer than anyone should have to wait. He referenced being passed over 2 and 3 times in the past, building to the possibility that the same thing could happen again before noting that this time he was explicitly told the date and the plan. Whether the UFC's word holds is a separate question from whether the competitive logic supports it, and the competitive logic is overwhelming. Tsarukian is ranked number 1. He is undefeated since a 2021 loss to Islam Makhachev. His recent performances have been dominant. There is no credible case for bypassing him that does not involve a commercial calculation that overrides athletic merit. The Charles Oliveira situation is worth monitoring separately. Oliveira posted about the BMF title and the lightweight title on the night of the White House card, signaling his interest in the next championship conversation. Tsarukian acknowledged this and essentially said that Oliveira can campaign for whatever he wants, but that the UFC knows who deserves the next shot. He was not dismissive about Oliveira as a fighter. This is a man who holds wins over Gaethje and who has been a world champion. But the competitive logic does not support Oliveira jumping the queue over the ranked number 1 contender who has been explicitly told he is next. His assessment of Topuria's path back was interesting and somewhat counterintuitive. When asked about Topuria versus Paddy Pimblett as a potential return fight, Tsarukian pushed back. He said Pimblett is not a good matchup for Topuria right now. Pimblett's chin is good, it is difficult to knock him out, and 5 rounds with Paddy after this loss would be a difficult night. His actual suggestion for Topuria's return? Michael Chandler. Simple, he said. Give him Chandler, let him knock Chandler out, rebuild from there. It is simultaneously the most obvious and the most blunt possible answer, and it carries a secondary message. Chandler is the kind of opponent you fight to get back on track, not a meaningful step toward anything. Whether that characterization is accurate for Chandler's career at this point is a separate debate. His broader analysis of Topuria going forward was also notable. He suggested that the loss came partly because Topuria was more focused on media and social media presence than on the training camp itself. He said the confidence was too high, the approach too casual, and that the loss is going to teach him not to be overconfident and to respect his opponents. He also made a specific observation about Topuria's wrestling training. He said Topuria stopped training with good wrestlers and grapplers, that he is probably training mostly with his brother and Guram, and that his ground game reflects that. The comparison to Canelo for the boxing ability was meant as a compliment, but Tsarukian's overall reading is that Topuria's preparation for the Gaethje fight had gaps that a more rigorous camp would have addressed. The moment where Tsarukian talked about his own relationship to the title was the most personally revealing section of the interview. He said he cannot stop himself from training. He said he landed from a flight and scheduled 7:30 training the next morning, even though he had just told himself he would take a couple of days off. He said maybe when he becomes champion he can rest a little, but right now it is all day, every day, just the championship, just the belt. He wants 5 title defenses in the lightweight division. He is thinking about a potential move down in weight if a 165-pound division ever materializes. He wants to fight until he is 37. He is 28 years old. He has been grinding toward this for years, and the path is finally clear. The man who was sitting on a plane with no Wi-Fi while Gaethje won the belt is now the man who is going to fight for it in the fall. He is also buying Gaethje a truck. He confirmed it during the interview. He already checked the price. He asked about the Ram because Dana White mentioned it, and he is hoping for a sponsor discount. He plans to deliver it in person after his July 18th competition. That detail, alongside the business class flight calculation and the donation comment about private jets on long hauls, paints a picture of a man who is extraordinarily focused and extraordinarily grounded simultaneously. He won millions on a bet and is still flying business class because private jets over the Atlantic do not make financial sense. He is about to become the UFC's new star, and he is still doing 7:30 morning sessions the day after a long international flight. Here is where this all points. The lightweight title picture is the clearest it has been in years. Justin Gaethje is the champion. Arman Tsarukian is the #1 contender who has been told he is next and who has a date in mind. Topuria is in a hospital rebuilding and will return. The Gaethje vs. Tsarukian fight is the biggest fight available in the division right now, and the argument Tsarukian made for how it ends, wrestling, control, submission in the second or third round, is backed by the same tactical evidence that Gaethje's own performance against Topuria provided. A man who cannot escape mount against a fighter of Topuria's caliber is a man who is going to have a significantly worse time against the best wrestling-based fighter in the division. Fall 2025. Abu Dhabi. Justin Gaethje defends for the first time. Arman Tsarukian collects what he has been owed for 2 years. That is the prediction. That is the plan. And based on everything in this interview, Tsarukian has already started preparing for it.